Hello everyone. I'm going to talk about some things that I find very interesting. It's that I think that we actually have ancient aliens. You probably have seen the TV show, and yeah, a lot of people, for example, Ancient Aliens on History Channel and Graham Hancock's series about ancient apocalypse. So um, yeah, that's what I'm going to do because we have a famous site in southern Sweden in the town of I'm going to use the Swedish pronunciation Kivik, or English would be Kivik maybe, and it's known as the King's Tomb. And on the picture here, you see that they have these kind of stones put up, and in the middle, next to us, there were small stones. Or this is like supposed to be the grave, and these stones are all around them. And I'm going to show you some stones. These are some stones here. You can't see so much. There is some circles here and some horses, but some of these stones are very interesting. So here is some other of the stones, and there is like a couple of clues why there might have been aliens buried here in the king's tomb. And I'm just going to, before I take the presentation, I'm just gonna give you a quick summary now. If you look here at the stone on the left, you see up to the left, it's like two men are traveling something, maybe a ship, but it's a little bit weird because in the middle of the ship there is something going up, and there is like two yeah, it's a bit hard to say like what it could be. So maybe it's a ship, but the ships are usually not painted like that, because I will show there is many pictures of ships, of course, at stones in Sweden and Scandinavia, and you don't used to paint ships like that. So what I think is actually that they might to try to make like a spaceship. It has landed like that, and they some kind of steering mechanism. And if we go down, I am on the left stone still. If we go down to the second row, there are these mysterious creatures. They don't really look like human, because you can see what human looks like above and below. So these doesn't really look like human. They look too tall, and they look like they have some kind of a ceremony. They are looking at this pot here in the middle, and I'm going to guess that these are also some kind of extraterrestrials. Maybe they are, because they have such a long head, like a reptile or some other kind of animal, and their form is not as. So I would guess, my best guess is that they're kind of a reptiles that's standing up, because it's a bit weird way to paint humans, because you can see up here on the top row, like how would the artist paint humans? And there is also one theory that these humans, some of the humans here being pictured here, like there are these human-like extraterrestrial called greys. And the thing with the gray aliens is that they're often described as being like humans, but much shorter, like children. And like historically, there was because this tomb traditionally was known as the king's tomb. People assumed that there must have been like kings buried, But there come a book, and I will show you that book. I have a photo of it, and I have it later. And basically, it was an archaeologist who wrote it, and he had seen, because this site has been excavated for like many hundreds of years, of course, and he had seen fragments of bones and also of teeth, and he had sent the bones to people that look at bones, and the tooths to dentists who looks at teeth. And the strange thing is that both of them, they thought these are not from adult, they are from children. They thought that they were children, maybe teenagers um, or children, and a child is about the same height as a gray alien. So that's the connection there. Why? So I will publish like his tables with his info later. But basically, almost all of the teeth and bones that has been found here, they are from around 1000 before Christ, so 1000 BC, and about that plus and down some, because they made this method known as carbon 14 method, which is a chemical method to see the age of things. So what he didn't do was to do like any kind of DNA analysis and so, but I will have a little bit discussion of that also, because I did study some genetics, so I know a little bit about that. But it would have been interesting if these teeth and bones, if they could have done some kind of a DNA analysis and see like what that would say, would have been a bit interesting. So if we look here again at the stones to the left, we can see like on the lowest down, it's like four small humans. They're going into this, which looks like the Greek letter omega that's on that's tipped over. So it's almost like they're going into something, like they're going into maybe to a spaceship. And here also they're going into it, and it's pretty interesting. If we look at the next picture, the second one in the middle, we can see quite normal stuff here. For example, here is horses, and there is one on a chariot, and then it's a bit hard to see the other things. It looks, the animals in the middle there, to the right, it looks like a moose, and then it looks probably like a dog, but the animal to the left there, that looks a little bit, what's that animal called? There is this famous very, very small animal that you can only see in a microscope. It looks a bit like that. Was it Tommy? Let me Google it on my phone. It's known as, in Swedish, it's known as like shoe animal, but in English it's known as the paramecium. It's a very small animal you can only see in microscope, and it is famous because it's a very, very durable animal. Like it's a very, very hardy animal. It can survive a lot of things, so it's quite famous for that. And then the bottom row here, we again see these reptilian aliens looking at, and maybe like scaring. They're like looking and scaring some kind of human here who has his arms up. I don't know if that's the sign in the like modern day culture. It would be a sign of giving up, raising your hands, but it might be something else. So quite interesting. And then last stone here, it's to the left, it's to the right, it's typical axes, and then some wheels there. There is. I'm going to come back to these pictures again because in this book that I read, he had different kind of stories what other people has interpreted these that's some kind of a ceremony or something like that. So this is the book that I have taken a lot of these pictures, and his name is not here so good in the PowerPoint apparently, but his name is Joachim Guldhan, I think. And here is a picture. So this is what this site looks today. And you can see humans in the middle. And if they go this stone path inside, then the tomb is inside of the. First you go the stone path, and then you go inside to the stones, to the grave. And historically, this one was much higher, because what happened, this was built then around 1000 before Christ, and then the stone has been removed and been used for construction in like other buildings. So some people believe it was like a pyramid here, but they plundered all the stones, so there is like only a few stone left at the bottoms, and we will see kind of reconstruction of. They have made pictures like what archaeologists thought this site looked at before the stones were taken to other construction. So in my opinion, where you see where the humans enter here, they would already go into a path, and it would be a long path all the way to the main tomb. So here is another picture of how it looks today. So you can see it's what it looks today. But as I said, historically probably it would be up to to the trees, maybe like a pyramid, or at least a big pile up to the trees with stones. And here is a picture of the entrance to the tomb. And this is another picture of it. And here is some picture this is also from his book, old picture like from the first excavation. You can see the stones here. So they have excavated the stones around here looking for bones and different kind of treasures and so on. This was like before the Viking time, so we don't know so much about these the people that made it, but it was the ancestors of the Vikings, of course. And at least the Vikings, they had like tradition that they like buried things to take them with them when they die, basically. So they are looking for things that are buried. And here is another one with the pictures here. So the most interesting ones are, of course, the ones to the number 8 and number 7 here with all the aliens. We already discussed them. This is old pictures from, you can see, 1942. So they were being discussed already back then. And we can also see here, like on the 8 in the top there's something flying above the humans there, and they're like doing something with their arm up there, which is a little bit weird. And we can also see a little bit better here on picture 7 that this one that I called Parasemium, here maybe this one looks, I don't know how to say, like maybe it's more like a ship, and this dog was very hard to see. And now this looks like two animals below the one on the chariot. So here is another one where they try to make a little bit more details. And in this one, it looks. Here the artist thinks they are doing on the top. I'm looking at the top row here that they're doing some kind of a musical ceremony. They are using horns here on top right. The man in the middle is holding something in his arm, and one woman, I think, because she's pointing to this one, which I call it spaceship, but it might just be something something else. Hard to see exactly what that is. And here they think like more people are going to like they're doing stuff here. It was a bit hard to see details on the photo, but here maybe you can see a little bit more better details. And here you can see like the aliens here, they have more like a beak. So on this artist thinks that they are like birds, like bird faces, and they are standing with their hands like in front of them, almost like birds. So this is an old book here about this. This is you can see in the style that this is one of the older, well, very old picture basically. So here is another one. I think this is an artist has tried to like see what is happening here. This is also from his Joachim's book, and here they think it's something else here. He thinks this is more like this one. I'm looking at the top in the middle. The animals looks quite a bit different here. Then this one, the paramecium here, looks like a lake, and he thinks the animal to the right is some kind of flying dragon or something like that. A flying, yeah. It's hard to say exactly what kind of animals they are. And here is one more how it looked for a long time ago. So this one is from 75. I think that was the same, well, about the same year where USA got their independence. And next to this tomb, there is this monument, and Swedish this ones are holding shipbuilding. It's called in Swedish. It's basically these stones has been put up in the shape of a ship, and it's a little bit hard to understand like why did the people put stones in the shape of a ship. But this one is just next to the king's tomb, and there is one more that I will show a picture for later. It's the largest one in Sweden. But it's a bit away from this one. That one is known as the Ailes stones, but it's maybe it's about half an hour drive away from this one. So here is a painting how archaeologists thought it looked before. So this is what's on the painting is like this is what is now, and this big line on top that goes in an arc. This is what the archaeologists thought it was before the stones were removed for construction. So it would have been a very impressive monument. It's still impressive today, but as you can see, it would have been like many times bigger. And of course, then like with all these ancient monuments, like why was it so important for people to build this kind of big monument just here and not in other places? So next, not so far from this one, it's maybe 15-minute drive from this one, or maybe a 10 minutes drive, something like that. It's this. It's another stone structure. This stone is known as it's called Haveng today in Swedish, and mainly most interesting is this stone in the middle. Like it's a big stone in the middle put on smaller stones, which we see a lot around the world here. So this one, and archaeologists doesn't really know, and it's like a little ship with stones around this big, big stone in the middle. And here we can see this one again. And this is maybe just my imagination, but couldn't this look like a little bit like a flying saucer on top? And let's say a flying saucer go to the ground and land, and it fells out. It fells out legs that it could land on. So maybe that's why this one is so common around the world. That this one is the top one is like the flying saucer, and the stones that it's upon, it symbolizes how it was when it landed. When it landed, it fell out legs to stand on. And here in this one, we can also see this more like a typical shipbuilding here in the middle of the cartoons on the big stone. And here is more pictures of this one again. And here again we see the weird one at the top on the left one here. That weird at the top. And let me get that book and read a little bit from the book for you. So I'm back. Sorry for that. So I'm just gonna. The book is in Swedish, but I'm going to translate it for you. So these ones are known as 8. The one to the right is known as 8, and the one to the one to the left is known as 8, and the one to the right is known as 7. And I'm going to read about 7 now. And this author, the archaeologist, he thinks that the stones shows ceremonies and rituals that was in connection with death and burial. And we see on the right one, we see 2 horses on a chariot, and on the chariot, a human with 2 ropes that control that goes to the horses' heads. And if in front of the wagon, there are 4 people who stands or walks on a straight line, and some of them looks like they have swords and are being interpreted as men. And beneath them, there are 2 animal figures, probably horses, and an unidentified one that sometimes has been interpreted as a fish, because we have seen that fish painting on Bronze Age items found. And below to the left, there is a smaller animal. It's probably a dog. And on this here, we see this just that looks like a snake, but we saw before it sometimes that one looked like a dog. And in the bottom there are 8 S-shaped humans walking on a line in a procession, and in the front of the procession is a human with hands up. One he's called I don't know the English word for that. Is like a leader of the procession, and the scene is sometimes interpreted like it's a leader of a cult in a walk in where people has dressed as birds, and sometimes some think they are the one dressed as birds or like mourning women's, or sometimes like male priests. And on the I'm still reading from the book here. On the number 8, which is to the left, we see those humans that could be maybe priests or humans dressed as birds or whatever in the middle, and they are looking at something that could be a tomb, and maybe they think that the middle one that on the one to the left is that it might be the tomb that is in the tomb of the kings here. And above the priests or the men dressed as birds, there are 4 musicians, 2 blow horns, and the other is playing a drum. It's more hard to interpret the humans that is in a half circle to the left. What are they doing? Some has thought that they are making a ritual fire drilling, or that they're playing on a gong. The motif lacks similar images among contemporary items or paintings. Why an interpretation of what it is remains. You can only guess what they are doing. Another guess is that they are playing with something that's some kind of an item used together with burial. And some things that it could be some kind of have some like astrological use, that items that they are using there. And no one knows either what the thing in the middle, top in the middle, and it doesn't look like anything else that we have seen before. And at the bottom there is humans going towards 2 omega signs. That's they look like omega, but they have been felled, that have fell down. Some people look like they are holding a sword, and they seem looks like they're going in a row towards the omegas. The later looks like some kind of a Irish gold hals, what's it called? Hals bracelets and neck bracelets. Neck bracelets, and but there have never been such items found in Scandinavia like we see on the painting here. So it's hard to say exactly what it is. Okay, so that's some things that I read from the book there that I thought was interesting. Sorry. now. And there is more interpretations of these ones. I'm still reading the book, but I'm reading some other scientists what he thinks about these two paintings now, and he says someone known as Fossander. He argued that this was this ritual described here would be some kind of a death ritual to please some kind of demonic world. And he thought that both of the stones were connected, and they are showing different kind of faces in same in one ritual. And we see that the fogel dressed individuals are in the same number in both stones because they have been placed above the big thing in the middle. So it's the same bird, humans in birth clothes on both stones, but different situations. In one, we see them in movement, and in one, which is the one to the right here, I think we see them in movements, and in the other, they are standing still in front of the big well, or not maybe a well, or what's called a bathtub. Could also be a bathtub in the middle there. And if we look again at number 7, we can see that they are going to the ritual. So to this one to the right, he thinks they're going to the ritual and they are performing the ritual on the one to the left here. And he's talking more more about this ritual here. Let's see if there's something else in the book that I want to read for you before I go on to the things that to my own conclusions here. No, maybe let's continue with the presentation. So here is here's a table of identified human bones from 1931 years investigation and results of carbon-14 analysis. So it's the one to the right here, the results. It's like from now and less years from now. So if we look at row number 2, it says 3085, and then mean it's for 3,000 years ago. So it's about 1,000 before Christ, not exactly, but and this plus minus 45 years is the result here of this C14. So we can see that most of them are from about 1,000 years before Christ, except for this one row 13, which was 3000 years before Christ, and the last ones here are they're not so old. They're after Christ basically, and you can't understand it, but I can read what it's kind of. So number one, it's a skull. Number two is a skull, and number three is a toe, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's tooths, all the way to 9. And this one is the most interesting, maybe, that they think this tooth and this toe are from humans when dentists had looked at it, like, as you can see here, 14, 15 years old, maybe. And I've heard other historians, they thought it was weird, really weird. Why are they like burying kids? Like it's weird to bury kids in such a it's weird to bury kids in such a massive monument. It would be make more sense, like historically it was called the Tomb of the Kings, because they assumed only the kings were buried. So as you can see, at least half of them are from kids. And this one is what I think it might be, gray aliens, because to bury their bodies when they die, that would be something very important here to preserve that for the future. And here, it's if you look here in the bottom here, you can see the dates here. So where it's most of them are 1000 BC. You can see most of these ones are from 1000 BC. And here are something. Here is the same ones again with another some kind of other analysis, but it gives the same results. They still feels it's kids, and they feels it's about the same. Same age. And this one is a map of the tomb, and what we can see here is this, that it has not been excavated that good actually. So what it says here, like BC, this is of course in the tomb, and these ones that have different kind of colors that are being gray or green is where they have found stuff. And some places, for example, here, this gray one here and this gray one here, it says this one has not been investigated. And always the question is like, how deep did they dig? Like did they dig deep enough to find everything, or so? So it would be interesting. I don't know if there is like any archaeological expedition there right now, but it looks like there could be more things found deeper below. And so then there was like this chapter, like why, how could they got so rich, like to be able to build like it would have been probably like the largest stone monument like in Europe maybe. When before it was plundered, and one thing that they thought was that this in the Baltic Sea, it's as you probably know, it's where you can find these ambers. So this one was found not far from the tomb, and this one was weight 1 kilo. So like if the king would find such a big, maybe there were even more amber before, and this one could be used for jewelry and like that. So maybe that's why they could be so have money to build such a big one here. And here, it's another picture. We have already discussed it quite a lot. And then I thought I'll just finish here by telling about some other items from about the same time. So you probably have seen this one before. This is the sun chariot. It's the it's the pride of Denmark. This was found in Denmark, and it's about 1000 before Christ also. And this is like, this is real gold here, and it looks a little bit. We had this chariot motif here also, like one going a chariot, and here, so maybe this chariot, and here they have the sun. They think it's this, what's being golden here is like gold-plated sun. And yeah, this is, we have already discussed this one. So here I thought, like I asked ChatGPT to tell me, like to make an image of, they call it bird, but I think it looks a little bit more like these reptilian aliens that a lot of people talk about, these ones here. But they could also be birds. I think in Egypt they're also like with bird faces or dog faces. It's also a typical theme in Egypt. So maybe it could be something like this, that they have reptilian faces, and yeah, they have clothes. And here, this is what when I was in Stockholm at the National History Museum there, they have some some other findings. These are not from Kivik. I don't know exactly where these are from, but this is also old one from the same time. And here it's basically two fish. This looks like fishmen. So they could also be like fish, like fishmen, those on the stones. Here is another one, fish. More fish. Here, yeah. It's more like here instead they have some kind of animal on their helmet. And here we have this typical reptilian face here. This one looks quite a bit like the reptilian face, looks a lot like the one in the on the stones. So this reptilian person here, and here is one. So this is what they think, like the gray looks like. Those that have seen them, they think they look something like this, and they are like they looks a bit like kids basically. So it would be interesting if they could do some DNA analysis of the bones and the teeth of those that were from kids, because there have been two cases, one in South America and one in Mexico, of skeletons that some people think that could also be big rays. So here is one. This is known as the Atacama skeleton. And this one is, you get a bit tricked because this one is actually really small. So this is actually too small to even be a kid. This is like just maybe a few years. So but it doesn't really look like if a human gives birth to a kid, but the kid doesn't survive. They doesn't look like this because this skull looks different. So what some people thought, that this could be like a gray alien giving birth, but it didn't survive the birthing, and then they buried it. But yeah, there have also been, like, I think there have been some like DNA testing and so on, and they say, yeah, it's probably just a human, but it's hard because like the human DNA and a gray alien DNA is probably so similar, so it would be hard to just to make definitive conclusions, because I think like when it comes to genetics, like just a human and a monkey, for example, is very similar in genetics. Like, and even like a human and a dog is quite similar, you know. Like most of the DNA code needs to be the same, so there can be life at all, basically. So and then we have the one from, this is one from Mexico, skeletons found in Mexico, and this face here, it also looks like the face doesn't look human. It's basically the point. We can see the skull is very it's very long backwards. It doesn't look human. As we can see here, the skull is very long. So and this with the long skull, maybe that could be also a sign of the ones instead of the bird faces, maybe it's someone like this, and they are trying to show something is weird with these ones because they have such a long skull. But this one has also been, I think I don't know exactly, but some thinks this is it's not a human skeleton. It's also quite small, but I think this one is larger. This one is like maybe a human, maybe 10-year-old or something like that, big as a human 10-year-old maybe. So here, yeah, we see these ones again. And this is another one, yeah, from Stockholm, from this one. It's typically like, yeah, typical here of like this, what's it called, this, yeah, this one in the middle, like a spiral shaped thing. That's it's typical for what he, Graham Hancock, in his series, he was showing a lot of pictures about, yeah, about that. And here is some, yeah, some of the other ones of the stones again. And this one is, and this one is the ship building, not a building, but it's called a ship because they placed the stones in the shape of a ship. So this one is just next to, just 100 meters from the king's tomb, and this one would also need to be dug because there could be clues here in this, because it's just so close by. So there might be clues below here also. And this is the big one known as the Ales stones. But this one is half an hour away. But here you can see typical ship, and these one stones are also a little bit bigger. As you can see, they are big as half a human. Okay, so that was my presentation here, and so I think it could be worthy of investigation if the men dressed in like bird clothes, that they call them, is some kind of aliens, or maybe yeah, maybe they are gray aliens. They are shaped like humans because so many has been buried when they were used. They have bones and tooths at the size of a child. Could of course be that they have buried child that died when they were young, but yeah, it would be worth a little bit more investigation, and I think this is as likely and most of the cases they show on Ancient Aliens, for example. So it's an interesting case.